I have someone in the studio in person of Daphne Osakwe. She is the founder and principal of Xanthiia Group and a strategic communications specialist focused on crisis management, political intelligence, and reputation protection. She has advised leaders across Nigeria, Israel, and the United Kingdom, the United States, and Canada, guiding high-profile clients through complex political and reputational challenges by combining investigative, intelligent, and rapid response media strategy. An intelligence-driven political communication expert, she specializes in political risk assessment, opposition mapping, predictive crisis modeling, and counterintelligence communications. Her experience includes leading high-stake crises and infant strategies in Israel and advising Frontier 500 companies in the United States on stakeholder management, regulatory positioning, and brand protection. Trained in crisis communication at Fishmanland, Daphne became internationally experienced spanning the UK, Canada, and Nigeria with an MBA focused on leadership and governance and a background in the media and corporate advisory. She delivers intelligence-informed crisis content, strategic messaging, and long-term reputation, recovering in politically sensitive environment. And this morning, join me as I welcome the special guest in the studio in the person of Daphne Osakwe. Good morning to you and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm pretty excited.
Okay, so at the time we actually have lecturers on this special edition of the program. So beyond what we just heard now, can you tell us who Daphne Osakwe is?
First and foremost, Daphne is a very sociable, bubbly, vibrant individual who believes a lot in humanity. And Daphne, myself, has never been scared of going against what is the popular opinion to support what I believe in. First and foremost, I'm a strategist, and I believe that everything should be structured. My life is very structured, and that's what I would like to bring in as value to anyone or any organization or any governmental, political individual I'm working with, is how we can combine structure and strategy in order to gain what is needed for that individual or organization.
And so while we were speaking, we talked about what you believe in. Can we, get more details on what you actually believe in? What is this thing you believe in?
I believe in humanity. I believe that the world tends to forget what we're actually here for. We're here to support each other. We're here to build. We're here to better ourselves and our communities. And so everything I do has that not in the back of my mind, in the front of my mind, and within my actions. Everything I do is geared towards how I can make wherever I am a better environment for future generations to continue on and live in and actually thrive. I don't want to leave the world the same way I met it, but I want to leave a mark and make an impact on the lives of other people.
While going through your profile, we actually saw that you have something to do with political intelligence. And the question is, what exactly is this political intelligence? And do you think Nigeria needs it at the moment?
So political intelligence is the ability to map a position, to anticipate threats, and also on how to strategize communication in order to control the narrative that is being put out there. In today's Nigeria, politics is no longer just about rallies. It's not about who can share the most money. It's not about who can provide little bits of food here and there in order to gain support. Politics is about perception. Politics is about how you can utilize that perception in order to gain what you need. So for me, in my opinion, Nigeria definitely needs political intelligence, because what it has is great leaders, but we don't have any political architecture. And part of political architecture is intelligence, how we're able to use the information and data that's out there in order to get what we need, strategy-wise, campaign-wise, and politically wise.
Looking at your profile, you've worked in several international organizations, all right, or countries now. So why did you choose to return to Nigeria for this assignment? Don't you think where you are is a better place?
I want to emphasize that my life and what I do has a focus on helping humanity. Other places I've lived in, they're definitely thriving. They're usually developed, and they already have the infrastructure in place in order to make themselves successful. Nigeria has amazing potential, has amazing people. It's just simply understructured. And so the reason I came back was because the level of political activity here deserves international grade strategy, which is what I bring.
Since that is your mission here, do you think our politicians they've made mistakes in some areas? And if you think, or if your answer happens to be in the affirmative, can you actually tell us what are these greatest mistakes they've made in political crisis management?
My answer is definitely going to be affirmative. They tend to make a lot of mistakes, but I do not blame them. It's more so lack of strategy. Strategy is always going to be what I go back to. One of the main things main mistakes is that they go silent. They do not respond when there's a crisis, and they tend to forget or overlook the fact that they were put there by the people within a community, within the country, within their states. People need and deserve to hear from their politicians when they're in doubt, when they're going through something. And it's something that's constantly overlooked by politicians because they're more, how do I put this? They would prefer not to stir up any more controversy as opposed to react to it. And secondly is they panic. So their response is not well thought out, and the way they respond to whatever the crisis is generally not in the ideal way, which is why in the US, Canada, across the world, it's very normal for politicians to have a publicist, someone who works with them on their strategy on how they respond to crisis. They generally have a crisis management plan, which is essentially a plan on how to respond in cases like this. And that's unfortunately not something that's very common here.
Okay, so now let's look at this man called Mayor Lucky Bokwe, and popularly known as Don Lulu, who happens to be a philanthropist and at the same time a strategist. The question is, how did you begin working with him, and what exactly is your role in his strategy?
Don Lulu, honestly, we were work at first sight. As soon as I met him and introduced himself and I introduced myself, we both saw an alignment in our vision, in what we look to do in the world and how we'd like to go about it. He's an incredibly impressive man. He's definitely done a lot for the people of his state, which is where I am currently. For the first time, he brought me to Abia, and I've loved being here. My role with him is as a strategist, basically understanding the information, the needs of the people around him, how we're able to gather that information and the access he has politically and resource-wise in order to not just create a narrative, but make a difference in Nigeria, in his state as well. And personally, I do believe that being a philanthropist is not just about giving, it's also about receiving the joy from what you've been able to do and achieve. And that's why I've left everything I was working on to work with him currently.
Okay, so automatically there's a movement in town, and they call themselves the City Boy movement. Okay, so let's look at this now. How does the City Boy movement, fit into the long-term political architecture?
The misconception about the City Boy movement is it's just a political movement. It has a point, it has an objective, which is youth empowerment. How it fits into the broader political architecture is in that empowering the youth is what the future is based off of. our entire future is the youth. And so essentially understanding their needs, what we need to do in order to better their ability and access to resources that will allow them to develop their skill sets and become more productive and economically valuable individuals is what our focus is on. Politically, I believe that that should be the general vision for any party or for any individual or for any politician. It's to better the lives of the people in their community, and so that's how it fits essentially.
Okay, is on youth empowerment, and if you recall, this movement hasn't been there. They just surfaced all of a sudden. And besides, this is a political season, so whatever movement, whatever group that emerges now, everyone sees it as a form of a political movement. So I want you to throw more light on this. If they are not a political movement, their major aim is just for empowering the youth. Where have they been all this while?
So they're not only a political movement. Being only a political movement would imply that they don't have any political reasons for existing, which is wrong.
Okay.
Essentially, the movement was set up by Barrister Tinubu, who is the son of the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And it's because we are interested in his re-election in the elections in 2027.
Okay.
However, a part of this movement, and this is the reason it started, is to empower individuals, young individuals like myself, to want to aim for more.
Okay.
While campaigning for the re-election of the president, who is actually supposed to provide the resources and pump in the necessary things in order to empower the youth. Does that make sense?
Very well.
Media has been used consistently as a tool, but I like to look at media as infrastructure. It is a necessity in order to gain whatever you need politically, and also to control political discourse. What Dawn FM does, or what other radio stations and media stations are doing, goes beyond just broadcasting. You are shaping discourse. If you control conversation, you're influencing perception, and perception drives alignment. Alignment is political.
Okay, I think this will be the last question, and thereafter I will allow you give a parting shot, and we'll call it a wrap on this segment. Now, okay, so is Nigeria politically driven, and what do you look at, or how do you see the performance or its performance in the political space?
I believe that Nigeria is definitely getting better on a daily basis. However, when it comes to performance matters, it's very difficult to measure because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and there's not a lot of objective media available for people to not have their opinions swayed or influenced. Perception determines whether performance is recognized. In modern politics, you can perform and still lose the narrative. So the intelligent answer is both of them must be engineered together, both perception and performance, and that would definitely put Nigeria ahead of the game politically.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been a wonderful moment, but before I let you go, this particular question will also lead to your parting shot. And my question is, what legacy are you helping build?
Legacy is not about noise, it's about durability. I'm focused on building political brands that can withstand opposition, survive scrutiny, and evolve over time. If a leader cannot survive pressure, there is no legacy. That's why we strategize. That's what I'm here for, to help our wonderful Don Lulu, Mayor Lucky Ivokwe, and the City Boy movement achieve what they're trying to, with my focus being on the end goal of youth empowerment and helping everyone succeed and move forward happily in a thriving environment.
Beautiful.
The advice I would give to politicians as we round up is that we need to stop doing things as we used to in the past. We need to look at not other countries, but at other ways of handling political strategies. A lot of the time, we keep making or repeating the same mistakes and hoping for a different outcome. I believe that now is the time to show we can be different, we can do different, and we can empower individuals to see that politics is not just about playing dirty games. Politics is about the people. Let's bring the power back to the people.
Politics is about the people and not about playing dirty games. Okay, and that's coming from Daphne Osakwe, founder and principal of Xanthiia Group and Strategic Communication. Thank you very much for coming on the program today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.